I was standing in the kitchen of my house, the same kitchen where my mom used to make pancakes every Sunday morning, when my stepmother Linda walked in and handed me a typed document. The header read monthly rent agreement. $800 due by the 1st of each month. I stared at it, confused. Rent. In my own house. Linda looked at me with cold eyes and said, "If you want to keep living here, you need to contribute like everyone else." I glanced into the living room, where her 2 kids, Kyle and Stephanie, were eating breakfast, clearly not paying a dime. The house my mom left me was being taken over. Before we dive deeper into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you want to hear how this situation unfolded, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you will not believe how far my stepmother was willing to go. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. Let me tell you about my mom, Sarah. She was a single mother who raised me on her own after my dad walked out when I was 5 years old. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 during the holidays, just to make ends meet. When I was 10, she did something incredible. She bought us a house. It was not a mansion or anything fancy, just a modest 3-bedroom home in suburban Ohio, but it was ours. She was so proud of it. I remember the day we moved in. She stood in the empty living room with tears in her eyes and said, "This is our foundation, baby. Nobody can take this away from us." That house was everything to her. It represented all her hard work, all her sacrifice. She made it a home. Every corner had a memory. The kitchen where she taught me to cook scrambled eggs. The backyard where we planted tomatoes that never quite grew right, but we tried every summer anyway. The front porch where we sat on warm evenings and talked about everything and nothing. When I turned 22, everything changed. Mom started feeling tired all the time. She thought it was just stress from work, but it kept getting worse. Finally, she went to the doctor. Stage 4 ovarian cancer. The diagnosis hit us like a truck. The doctors said she had maybe 6 months. She fought hard. But cancer does not care how strong you are, or how much people need you. 6 months later, almost to the day she was gone. Before she passed, Mom made sure everything was in order. She was meticulous about it. The house was legally transferred to me. The deed, the will, everything was ironclad. I remember her last conversation with me in the hospital. She grabbed my hand, weak but determined, and said, "This house is yours, baby. Never let anyone take it from you. It is your foundation." Those were almost her last words to me. I promised her I would not. The grief after she died was overwhelming. I felt like I was drowning. But coming home to that house, being surrounded by her things, her memories, it gave me comfort. It was the only thing keeping me together. Then 2 months after the funeral, my father showed up. Marcus, the man who had been absent for 17 years. He just appeared at my door one evening, looking older and tired. He said he had heard about Sarah's death and wanted to reconnect. He said he was sorry for leaving. He said he wanted to be part of my life again. I was lonely. I was grieving. I was vulnerable. So, I let him back in. Maybe that was my first mistake. But you have to understand, I wanted a parent. I had just lost my mom, and here was my dad saying all the right things about family and second chances. For the first few weeks, it was okay. We had dinner together. We watched football on Sundays. It felt almost normal. Then 4 months after he came back, Marcus introduced me to Linda. She was 43, worked in real estate, and seemed nice enough at first. She brought over casseroles, complimented the house, told me she understood what I was going through because she had lost her first husband years ago. She seemed genuinely kind. Marcus and Linda got married fast. Too fast looking back on it. 6 months after they met, they had a courthouse wedding. I was not thrilled about it, but I figured if Dad was happy, then okay. But right after the wedding, Linda made a suggestion that should have been a red flag. She said we should all pool our resources and live together in my house. She framed it as a practical thing. Save money, build family bonds, support each other. Marcus jumped on the idea immediately. He sat me down and said, We are family now. Your mom would want us to stick together. That line got me, invoking my mom's memory like that. So I agreed, thinking it would be temporary. Maybe a year, just until they got on their feet financially. I told myself I was being generous, being family-oriented. Really, I was being a fool. 2 weeks after the wedding, Linda's kids moved in. Kyle, who was 19, and Stephanie, who was 17. They took over the 2 spare bedrooms. One of those rooms I had been planning to turn into a home office. Now it was filled with Kyle's gaming setup and piles of dirty laundry. Kyle did not work. He did not go to school. He played video games 16 hours a day and left messes everywhere. Dirty dishes stacked in the sink. Food wrappers stuffed between couch cushions. And he would eat my groceries, the ones I specifically labeled with my name. And when I confronted him, he would shrug and say, "Oh, my bad dude." Stephanie was worse in a different way. She monopolized the single bathroom for hours every morning. She complained constantly that the house was too small, too outdated, not nice enough for her friends to visit. She treated me like I was a roommate. She tolerated not the person who owned the house she was living in rent-free. I tried to set boundaries. I really did. But every time I brought up an issue, Marcus would defend them. They are adjusting to a new situation. Give them time. They are just kids. Kyle was 19. Stephanie was 17. They were not little children. They were old enough to show basic respect. Then Linda started redecorating. Without asking me, she threw out the curtains my mom had picked out and hung up these ugly beige ones she bought on sale. She replaced family photos of me and Mom with pictures of her own family. One day, I came home from work, and the couch had been moved. The same couch where Mom used to sit and read library books on Saturday afternoons. Linda had shoved it against a different wall because she said the room had bad feng shui. I felt like a stranger in my own home. But I kept quiet. I kept the peace. I told myself it was temporary, that things would get better, that I was being paranoid. I was wrong on all counts. Then came the day everything changed. The day Linda handed me that rent agreement in the kitchen. $800 per month. Due on the 1st. Late fees would apply after 5 days. I actually laughed when I first read it. I thought it had to be some kind of joke, maybe a misunderstanding. But Linda's face was stone cold. "I am serious, Jerome. You are 25 years old. You need to learn responsibility." I stopped laughing. "This is my house. My mom left it to me. Your father and I are married now," she said calmly, like she was explaining something to a child. "We are all family. Everyone should contribute equally." Equally, I could feel my blood pressure rising. What about Kyle and Stephanie? Are they paying rent? Linda did not even blink. They are still figuring things out. Kyle is looking for work, and Stephanie is in school. You have a full-time job. You can afford it. I worked as an assistant manager at a local logistics company. I made $43,000 a year. Decent money, but I was not rich. I already paid the property taxes, which were $2,000 a year. I paid the homeowner's insurance another $1,200 annually. I covered half the utilities, because Marcus had convinced me that was fair. Now Linda wanted $800 a month on top of that. That was almost $10,000 a year. "This is insane," I said. "I am not paying rent in my own house." Linda crossed her arms. "Then we need to discuss your attitude about family contributions." I walked away before I said something I would regret. I went straight to my dad. He was in the garage pretending to organize tools. I knew he had heard the whole conversation through the door. "Dad, did you know about this?" Marcus would not look at me. He just kept moving wrenches around on the workbench. "Son, Linda has a point. You are an adult. Paying rent teaches responsibility. Dad-Mom left this house to me. Legally it is mine." "I know that," he said, finally turning around. "But we are all living here. It is only fair you chip in for utilities and food." "I already pay the property taxes, the insurance, and half the utilities," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "What more do you want?" Marcus got defensive. His face flushed. Why are you being so selfish? We are trying to build a family here. Linda is trying to teach you about being an adult, and you are acting like a spoiled kid. That hurt more than I expected. My own father calling me selfish for not wanting to pay rent in the house my mother left me. The house she worked herself to exhaustion to buy. The house that was supposed to be my foundation. I realized in that moment that my dad had completely sided with Linda. Whatever loyalty he might have had to me, to Mom's memory, it was gone. He had chosen his new wife over his own son. I walked out of the garage without another word. Over the next 2 weeks, things got worse. Linda turned up the pressure. She started charging me for shared groceries, even though I bought my own food and kept it separate. She made a spreadsheet. An actual spreadsheet with my share of household expenses, including things I never used or agreed to pay for. Kyle kept eating my food. I would buy sandwich meat and cheese, label the bag with my name in black marker, and the next day it would be gone. When I confronted him, he said, "We are family, man. We share." But somehow the sharing only went one direction. Stephanie started complaining that my car, which I parked in the driveway, was taking up space. Space for what, her friends' cars when they came over. She actually suggested I park on the street so her friends could use the driveway to my house. Linda started scheduling family meetings every Sunday night. They were really just sessions where she listed all my supposed infractions. I left a dish in the sink once, after working a 12-hour shift. I came home late one night because I had to cover for a sick coworker. She wrote everything down and presented it like evidence at a trial. Meanwhile, Kyle threw a party while the rest of us were out. 20 people, loud music, alcohol everywhere. When we got home, the living room was trashed. There were beer stains on my mom's couch. The same couch Mom had saved up for months to buy. Linda's response: "Boys will be boys. It is just a little mess." Stephanie failed 2 classes that semester. Linda blamed it on stress from the living situation. She actually implied that my presence in the house, my negativity about paying rent, was affecting Stephanie's ability to study. Never mind that Stephanie spent most of her time on social media and ignored her homework. I felt like I was losing my mind. I was being gaslit in my own home. Every reasonable boundary I tried to set was twisted into me being difficult, selfish, ungrateful. So I did what I should have done weeks earlier. I consulted a lawyer. I found a real estate attorney in town and paid for a 1-hour consultation. The attorney looked over my documents. The deed, the will, the marriage certificate showing Linda married my dad after Mom died. He leaned back in his chair and said, "This is straightforward. The house is 100% yours. They have no legal claim whatsoever. If you want them out, you can evict them. Evict my own father. If necessary, yes. But here is what you need to know. Do not let them establish tenancy rights beyond what they already have. Do not accept any rent payments from them. If they start paying you, it could complicate things legally, make them official tenants with more rights." I felt relieved, but also conflicted. The idea of evicting my own father felt impossible. He was still my dad, even if he was making terrible choices. I decided I would try one more conversation. One more attempt to make them see reason. That conversation never happened the way I planned. 2 months after Linda first demanded rent, she delivered an ultimatum. It was a Thursday night. I came home from work exhausted. Linda was waiting at the kitchen table with Marcus and a notebook full of her calculations. "Jerome, you have not paid a single month of rent. That is $1,600 you owe us." "I do not owe you anything," I said, keeping my voice calm. "This is my house." Linda's expression hardened. "Fine. Then your father and I have decided that if you will not contribute, you need to move out." I actually laughed. It was such an absurd statement that I could not help it. "You want me to move out of my house? We need to make room for people who actually appreciate family," Linda said. I looked at my dad. He was staring at the table, nodding weakly. He would not even look me in the eye. From the living room, I could hear Kyle laughing at something on his computer. Stephanie walked by, and rolled her eyes at the whole scene, like I was the one causing drama. "You have got to be kidding me," I said. "We are very serious," Linda replied. "If you cannot be part of this family in a meaningful way, then maybe it is time for you to find your own place." I went to my room and closed the door. My hands were shaking. I was so angry I could not think straight. But as I sat there, something clicked. This was not about rent or responsibility or family. This was about control. Linda wanted my house. She had wanted it from the beginning. I opened my laptop and started digging. Linda worked in real estate, right? She understood property and deeds and legal claims. I went to the county property records website and searched my address. What I found made my blood run cold. 2 weeks earlier, Linda had filed a quiet title claim. She was trying to legally challenge my ownership of the house. She had submitted a document claiming that my mother had verbally promised the house to Marcus before she died, and that as his wife, Linda, now had a claim to it. It was fraud. Complete fraud. My mom had never promised anything to Marcus. They had been divorced for 17 years when she died. She had not even spoken to him. The will was clear. The deed was clear. But Linda was trying to create doubt, trying to use the legal system to steal my house. I kept digging. I found out she had been telling neighbors that she owned the house. She had even contacted a real estate agent about listing it for future sale. This had been planned from the beginning. Linda had not just wanted to live here rent-free. She had wanted to take ownership. She had targeted my grief, my vulnerability, my desire for family, and she had used it all to get access to my house so she could try to steal it. I did not sleep that night. I printed out every document I could find. Every piece of evidence. And the next morning I confronted her. Linda was making coffee when I walked into the kitchen and put the papers on the counter in front of her. "You tried to steal my house," I said quietly. "You committed fraud." Her face went pale for just a second. Then the anger kicked in. "You cannot prove anything." "I already sent this to my attorney," I said. "You have 72 hours to move out, or I am filing a police report and eviction papers." Marcus came running in. "Son, let us talk about this. We can work this out." "You chose her over me," I said, looking him in the eye for the first time in weeks. "You chose her over Mom's memory. You have 72 hours, too." Linda recovered quickly. She leaned across the counter and said, "You will regret this. I will make sure everyone knows what a selfish, ungrateful son you are. I will drag your name through the mud." I stayed calm. I had learned something over the past few months. Angry people make mistakes. Calm people win. Go ahead. The law is on my side. You committed fraud. You forged documents. You tried to steal my house. So please go tell everyone. I would love to see how that works out for you." She had nothing to say to that. My attorney moved fast. Linda tried to delay, tried to claim she needed more time. But the fraud attempt actually made everything easier legally. The sheriff served formal eviction papers. Marcus begged for more time. I gave them 1 week. 7 days to pack up and get out. Kyle and Stephanie were furious. On the last day before they left, they trashed their rooms. Kyle punched holes in the walls. Stephanie broke the closet doors off their hinges. I documented everything with photos and videos. I would be taking them to small claims court for the damages. Moving day was a scene. Linda stood in the driveway yelling insults, while a neighbor helped Marcus load boxes into a rental truck. She called me every name in the book. She told the gathering neighbors that I was throwing my own father out on the street. A few people looked uncomfortable, but most of them knew the truth. Linda had been bragging about her house for months. They knew something was off. Finally, they were gone. The truck pulled away. I stood in the empty driveway and watched it disappear around the corner. Then I went inside and changed every single lock. New deadbolts, new doorknob locks, new locks on the windows. Everything. The house was a disaster. There were holes in the walls, broken doors, stains on the carpet, trash, everywhere. It was going to take weeks to clean and repair everything. But as I stood in the middle of the mess, I felt lighter than I had in a year. The weight that had been pressing down on my chest was gone. I walked through the quiet house. No Kyle yelling at video games. No Stephanie hogging the bathroom. No Linda redecorating without permission. No Marcus making excuses for all of it. I ended up in the kitchen. The same kitchen where this nightmare had started with that rent agreement. The same kitchen where my mom used to make pancakes every Sunday. I sat down at the table and cried. Not sad tears exactly. Relief, grief, exhaustion. Everything, all at once. I had been living in survival mode for a year, just trying to get through each day without losing my mind. I had not been truly living. I had been a prisoner in my own home. But now it was over. Now I could breathe again. Over the next 3 months, I put the house back together. I patched the holes Kyle had punched in the walls and repainted every room. I replaced the broken closet doors. I deep-cleaned the carpets and threw out everything Linda had left behind. I brought back the curtains that looked like the ones Mom had picked out. I put our family photos back on the walls where they belonged. I did more than just repair damage, though. I made the house mine in a way I had not done before. I painted the kitchen a warm yellow color Mom had always talked about but never got around to doing. I finally built those shelves in the garage that I had been planning for years. I planted a garden in the backyard, something Mom had always wanted to do but never had time for between working 2 jobs. I also started dealing with the grief I had been avoiding. I joined a support group for people who had lost parents. Sitting in that circle of strangers hearing their stories, I realized I had never properly processed Mom's death. I had gone straight from her funeral into my dad and Linda moving in, and I had never given myself space to just feel the loss. The group helped. Therapy helped. And slowly, I started feeling at home in my own skin again. I made new friends too, real friends who respected boundaries. I started going to a weekly trivia night at a local bar. I joined a recreational softball league. I met people who did not want anything from me except friendship. I even started dating someone, Emily. She was 27, taught 3rd grade at an elementary school across town. We met at a coffee shop when she accidentally grabbed my order. We laughed about it, and I asked if she wanted to sit down and share it. We talked for 2 hours. When I eventually brought her to the house and told her the whole story, she did not judge me. She did not think I was cruel for evicting my own father. She said, "You protected what your mom built for you. That took courage." She loved the house. She loved hearing stories about Mom. She understood what the place meant to me. For the first time in a long time, the house felt like a home again. The legal stuff got resolved too. Linda's fraud case was reported to the district attorney. She ended up facing fines and a misdemeanor charge. It went on her record. Given that she worked in real estate, that was not a small thing. Her reputation took a hit. I sued Kyle and Stephanie in small claims court for the property damage. I won $3,000, which barely covered the repairs, but it was the principle of the thing. They actually had to pay it because Linda had renter's insurance that covered the damages. She was furious about that. Marcus sent me one text message about 2 months after they moved out. It said, "I am sorry for how things went. I hope someday you can forgive me." I read it, and I did not respond. Maybe someday I will be ready to have that conversation. Maybe I will never be ready. Either way, that is my choice to make. I blocked Linda, Kyle, and Stephanie on every platform. Phone, social media, email, everything. I realized I did not owe toxic people access to my life, even if they were technically family. Especially if they were technically family. One night, about 4 months after they left, I was sitting on the front porch. It was a warm evening, the kind Mom and I used to enjoy together. I was drinking iced tea and watching fireflies in the yard. The garden I had planted was starting to bloom. Tomatoes just like Mom and I used to try to grow. I thought about everything that had happened. The manipulation, the gaslighting, the legal battles, the betrayal, and I thought about what I had learned. I learned that boundaries are not selfish. They are survival. For months I had felt guilty for wanting basic respect in my own home. I had been made to feel like I was the problem, for not wanting to pay rent, for not wanting strangers to take over the house my mother died to give me. But boundaries are how you protect yourself. They are how you keep toxic people from draining you dry. I learned that blood relation does not equal loyalty or love. My father shared my DNA, but when it came down to it, he chose a woman he had known for less than a year, over the son he had abandoned once already. Family is supposed to be about more than biology. It is supposed to be about showing up, about respect, about putting each other first. Linda, Kyle, and Stephanie were never my family. They were invaders. I learned that grief makes you vulnerable, and some people see that as an opportunity. Linda saw a young man who had just lost his mother, who owned a house, who was desperate for connection. She saw an easy target. She planned the whole thing. The fraud paperwork proved that. She had been scheming from day one. I learned to trust my instincts. I knew something was wrong from the very start. When Linda first suggested moving in, alarm bells went off in my head. But I ignored them, because I wanted to believe in family. I wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt. That almost cost me everything. Now I know that if something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust that feeling. Most importantly, I learned that protecting what matters is not the same as being selfish. My mom did not work 2 jobs for 17 years, so that strangers could come in and take what she built. She sacrificed so much to give me that foundation. Honoring her memory meant standing firm. It meant saying no. It meant fighting back when someone tried to take it away. Real family respects you. Real family does not exploit you. Real family does not forge legal documents to steal your house. And when people show you who they really are, believe them the first time. I spent a year feeling guilty for setting boundaries in my own home. I felt guilty for not wanting to hand over money to people who contributed nothing. I felt guilty for not playing along with Linda's twisted version of family. Now I know that the only thing I should have felt guilty about was not setting those boundaries sooner. My mom did not work herself to exhaustion so that I could be a doormat. She gave me a foundation, and I finally understand what that means. It is not just about walls and a roof and a piece of paper that says I own the property. It is about standing firm. It is about knowing your worth. It is about never letting anyone convince you that you deserve less than respect in your own life. The house is quiet now, peaceful. I walk through it every day and I see Mom everywhere. The kitchen where she taught me to cook. The living room where we watched movies on Friday nights. The front porch where we talked about life. She is here in every corner, every memory. And I kept my promise to her. I did not let anyone take it away. If you are in a situation where people are trying to take what is yours, whether it is a house, your peace, or your dignity, remember this. You have the right to say no. You have the right to protect what matters to you. And sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same exact thing. It took me losing my family to realize I never really had them to begin with. But now I have something better. I have myself back. I have my home back. I have peace. And that is a foundation no one can ever take away from me. So, here is my question for you. Have you ever been in a situation where family or people close to you tried to take advantage of your kindness? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments, because I know I am not the only one who has been through something like this. And if this story helped you in any way, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that it is okay to set boundaries even with family. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope wherever you are right now you are standing on solid ground. Take care of yourselves and remember you are worth fighting for.